Okay, let's see. All right, everybody. Got the wrong darn camera on. Let's see. Let's see if I can figure out how to update my camera settings. I can't. Okay, all right. Stand by. I am going to correct this right now. Okay. All right. Well, I'll just go ahead and let's see. There we go. That's better. I got a dual monitor set up. This is supposed to be showing to the other monitor, but it's not. So this is my first ever Tuesday live stream we usually do on Instagram Live, but I figured I'm going to try the YouTube channel. From what I understand from other people, it's got a lot of cool benefits and options that I haven't played with, but I'm still brand new to it. So I wanted to figure out how to share a link today. I couldn't figure out how to do that. So this will get better. So today's show is going to be about for time, not for time, for time or not, and then kind of for time workouts. And what's the difference between all of those and all that good stuff? And before I get into that, somebody posted something, and they shall remain nameless to protect them, in the Linchpin private Facebook group that I think is really interesting. And maybe this could be a topic for a future show. Somebody posted today, just curious, are there any CrossFit coaches out there who use Linchpin for their own fitness instead of following the programming at the box where they coach? I've tried Linchpin 2 previous times, but only lasted a few weeks because each time I felt bad about not doing the same workouts as the athletes I coach at our local box. I've tried several times to get our owner to drop the lifting plus Metcon approach to programming, but she is not willing to make the change. I'm on my second week here back at Linchpin, and my body is already happier. So I'd love to make this work. But what should I tell my athletes, et cetera, et cetera? And people are weighing in with interesting comments about that. And there's several people who are saying, former trainers, that's the reason that they left their gym. And now they work out in their garage and follow Linchpin. So it's interesting. But how about that? On their second week, and the body is already feeling better. Right. Hopefully one day we can all stop doing silly things. Okay, I also see here, there's a chat engaged here. So, all right, there's so much stuff I'm learning here about the YouTube Live. But let's dive right into the topic today. 4 different topics, 4 different ways that we program workouts, I should say, at Linchpin. And they all have benefits. Now, the 4-time workout, that's arguably the most classic one that everyone's, well aware of, classic CrossFit, if you will. It's for time, like Fran, 2159 reps 4 time. We all know this one. And one of the greatest benefits is you've got a absolute time at the end of the workout, because data is a wonderful thing. You're going to have that data. Here's why we have evolved into doing some other things at Linchpin. And this is a deviation from classic CrossFit. Look at the main site since its inception, you're not going to see a not for time workout really, but we've been doing this for years. The clock, it's great, but it can cause unwanted, unnecessary, unhealthy, and potentially detrimental side effects in some people, not all people, because comparison is the thief of joy. Now, it all depends on who you're comparing yourself to. If you have that discipline to just compare you to you, then it may not be the thief of joy. It might be just fine. But if you start comparing yourself to others unnecessarily, and those others happen to be better athletes than you or whatnot, then all of a sudden the clock and the time that you got now starts to eat away at you. And while it's a very useful metric for your progress in the future, if it starts to be something that you dread, unless you're a special human being, after a while, that dread might lead to working out not being fun anymore, and then a loss of motivation, and then I don't feel like walking out into the garage anymore, and then you take a pause that lasts a couple days, and then it lasts a couple weeks, and suddenly you're not working out anymore. So if you're using the clock, and you can be in control of it and it not in control of you, great. It is an absolutely wonderful, useful, beneficial tool, but it can have a darker side as well. And if the clock is not leading to positive outcomes for yourself, you can free yourself of that. There are other options. So we most certainly post plenty of 4-time workouts at Linchpin, but that's not all that we do. You'll also see workouts that just flat out say, Not for time. Okay, so let's talk about the middle ground first, which is giving people the option. We'll post workouts that say, so this many reps for time or not. So we kind of put the onus on the individual, shooter's choice, if you will. How do you feel on that particular day? And not just how does your body feel, but how does your mind feel? Do you feel motivated and happy to work out? Often, but not always, the for time or not option, that could be programmed on a particular day that has complex or technical movement patterns, maybe some movements that people might be able to do, but they could feel the need to scale or modify them if it was just a for time workout, because maybe they're a bit slow on them and they'd have to break them up a lot. And so all of a sudden now they're scaling a movement that they can't actually do. And so that can be sometimes where the clock really isn't your friend. For example, handstand walk. Maybe there's a fair amount of handstand walking in the workout and you can walk on your hands, but you kick up and you kick down a lot. That's just how it is. And if it's for time, you're like, oh my goodness, it's for time. And there's the goal time. If I don't hit the goal time, it's not an effective workout. And I miss the stimulus and that's no good. Not necessarily, right? But if it's for time or not, and you give that option, you're like, you know what? I'm going to shut the clock off today. I'll push where I can push on the movements that I can. And when the handstand walk comes up, whatever, I'll kick up and I'll kick down as many times as I need to. I'll get it accomplished. I'll take my time. I'll take the breaks that are needed. And at the end of the training session, guess what? I will be better at the handstand walk than when I started. And that's a huge point of why we train. So the for time or not options are a great way to do it. We try to put one of those in at least once a week into every, block of training, at least once a week. They also could be used, again, not always, but particularly if maybe there's some strict work in there, maybe strict handstand push-ups, strict pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, something like that. Again, a fantastic training stimulus, but the strict work is most likely going to get broken up a lot more by a lot of people. And so the clock could continue to run, and that doesn't mean it's an ineffective training session. And so those are also good days that we put those in. Then you have days that are just not for time. Period. End of story. Not for time. Now, some people might also say this is a for quality day, which is fine. We can just debate word choice. If that's what works in your head, that's great. I don't personally like that. I think not for time just means not for time, because I personally think that darn near every workout that you should do should also be for quality. You should move as quickly as you can move well. Quite frankly, I know that could be an oversimplification. We could talk 30 minutes about that, but generally speaking, I don't feel like because it's a for time workout that you should be frantic and just whipping your spine in and out of flexion and extension and having your knees cave in and do all these terrible things over and over again. You should move as quickly as you can while at the same time moving well. That's the goal right there. So on a not for time day, it's literally that. Not worrying about the clock in any way, shape, or form. Kind of like on a 5x5 back squat day, right? That's not for time. Does that mean it's an ineffective training session? Absolutely not, right? And so some days you just allow yourself to do a workout, not for time. And man, that's freeing. And it's especially freeing for people that on the days where it says for time or not, for whatever odd reason, they latch on to that old guilt and feel the need to run the clock always, even though it says for time or not. But if it says not for time, then the onus is off them. I said don't do it for time, and then they feel authorized to do that. And we've had really, really great results from that. And you know what? You'll still get fit. And you could even do a not for time workout on a workout that is most classically done for time. You could do not for time Helen. You could do not for time Fran, and you're still going to get fit, right? I mean, you're going to be doing 45 thrusters. How in the world does that not have value, whether or not the clock is running or not? You're still going to do 45 pull-ups, et cetera, et cetera. One could actually argue regarding the not for time sessions that more people would be fitter allowing themselves to do sessions like that in the long run, because so many people are walking around beat up and overtrained or under recovered or whatever you want to say, very similar to the individual whose post I read at the beginning of this, that now after getting back into Linchpin and doing it for 2 weeks, their body feels better. Why is that? Because they were obviously unnecessarily beating themselves up with some other training and programming. So allowing yourself these not for time days, it's good for the mind, it's good for your muscles, it's good for the soul every now and then, and it keeps working out fun. And then we have something that I wish I could take credit for, but I cannot. So we talked about for time workouts, we talked about not for time workouts, and we talked about for time or not workouts. And then the final one is KFTs, which is kind of for time. Again, I wish I could take credit for this, but somebody in the Linchpin community was the first to coin this. I absolutely love it. I do it all the time, and it's just like it sounds. Kind of for time is, yeah, you know what? And you can do this on any day. Like we don't particularly program something that says kind of for time, but people will write, "Hey, I did the workout today, KFT, kind of for time," and that's just I'm going in there. I don't feel like burning it down, but I'm not going to take it totally casual either. I'm going to run the clock just so that I know at a moderate pace where that shook out. But I really don't care what the clock says. I'm not going to let it stress me out, and I'm not going to let it unnecessarily push my pace. It's something that's running in the background. And when it's over, I'll make a note at whatever that clock said. And in the BTWB app, I'll note the time and I'll note my thoughts and feelings during that workout, what my effort level was, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's just a nice reference point moving forward. So those are your 4 options. They all have value. And think about which one or more you think would really help you both physically and mentally to make working out fun and drive your results forward. For time, for time or not for time, or kind of for time. Okay. Well, if I stop this stream and it actually works and uploads, and we're going to call the first live stream on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel a success. And I will figure out again how to post this and share the link and all that good stuff. So yeah, we'll make it happen. All right, everybody. And we'll talk later.